Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be talking about standard forms. Let's start with the basic definition of standard forms first. So standard forms are also called as a scientific notation, is a way of expressing very large or very small numbers in a compact form. So that means either the numbers are very large or the numbers are very small. So it's just a way of expressing very large or very small numbers in a compact form. And what is that form to be maintained? The form to be maintained is this: a into 10 raised to the power n. And the condition is that this a number there, its a is a number, and it has to be between 1 and 10. It's a must condition to be followed for the standard form. This a has to be between 1 and 10. And then this n, it's an integer, and n represents the power of 10. So example for the standard form, you can say maybe 2.1 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 5. This is an standard form. Why? Because you see this 2.1, this number is a, and this is between 1 and 10. And we have this 10 power n, so n here is 5. But if I may write this as 21 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 5, then this will not be a standard form. Why? Because this 21, which is a, this is not in between 1 and 10. Okay, so this is not a standard form, but this is a standard form. And then the first concept about standard form is the conversion. Conversion means we would be required to convert the ordinary numbers into the standard form. So ordinary numbers can either be very large numbers, or they can be very small numbers. For example, a very large number, you can consider it to be 2,700,000. That's 27 million. Okay, 27 million. And very small number, you can consider 0.0000039. All right, so these are the two numbers for us. And the conversion means we have to convert these ordinary numbers into the standard form. So the rule of thumb is to maintain this standard form, we have to focus on the decimal. For this big number, when there is no decimal, that means it's an obvious thing that decimal is there at the end. And we have to shift the decimal in a way that we may get the number as a number between 1 and 10. So we may keep on shifting the decimals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have shifted 7 places towards the left. So 7 places towards the left means it would be 2.7 multiplied by, and since it's a 7 places move towards the left, so 10 power would be a positive 7. And then for this second number, which is a very small number, the decimal is there at the left. So that means we have to now move the decimal towards the right, so that a number formed it's in between 1 and 10. So if we may move the decimal towards right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have shifted 6 places towards the right, and we are getting now this as 3.9. And since it's a 6 places move towards the right, so 10 power raised would be a negative value. How many shifts we have made? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shifts. It would be 10 power minus 6. So the basic idea is to conclude the things about the decimal movement. If you are moving the decimal towards the right, tens power will decrease, And if you're moving the decimal towards the left, tens power will increase. And the power depends upon the number of decimal move. Another example you can consider, for example, if you have, let's say we have this number as 256 into 10 raised to the power 6. Now 256 into 10 raised to the power 6, this is not a standard form. Why? Because this 256 is not a number between 1 and 10. And since there's no decimal, that means the decimal is there at the end. And if the decimal is there at the end, so we have to move the decimal 2 places towards the left. So since we have moved 2 places towards the left, it would now become 2.56. And how the tens power would be affected, since we have moved 2 places towards the left. So moving towards the left means tens power would increase. Initially 10 power was 6. And because of the 2 places moved towards the right, it would be raised by 2. So finally the answer in this case, it would be 2.56 into 10 raised to the power 8. So this is how we convert the numbers into standard forms. Now, next we look at some mathematical operations involved in standard form. And when I say mathematical operations, it means we'll be dealing with the multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, and the power on the standard form as well. Okay, so let's start with the multiplication first. M multiplied by n. So m multiplied by n means here we have the two numbers as m is 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 7 multiplied by n is 3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 4. And to keep the thing simple, you'll only focus on the numbers to be multiplied with the numbers. When I say number, number means the number before the tens power. And tens power would be dealt together. So that means this 2.1 has to be multiplied by 3 first. So 2.1 multiplied by 3, we get this as 3 and 3 2 are 6. So we're getting this as 6.3. So the numbers part would be 6.3. And for the tens part, as per the rules of indices, since these are the same bases in multiplication, the powers are to be added. It would be 7 plus 4. And we'll get this as 6.3 into 10 raised to the power 11. So after multiplication, we have got this result as the standard form. So this was all about multiplying a number in the standard form. Now division, part B. M divided by n. So m divided by n means m upon n. So m upon n means m being the numerator, which is 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 7, n being the denominator, which is 3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 4. And here again, the number part would be divided by the number part, which is this, and the tens part would be divided together. Now, this 2.1 divided by 3 apparently looks something difficult to be handled. But we'll try to be a bit smart here. And what we'll do here is we'll shift this decimal first. 2.1 and shifting this decimal towards the right would make the number as 21. Okay, so this becomes now 21 into. Now we have to think about the tens power. Now, since the decimal is moved towards the right, and we have already developed this concept that when the decimal is moved towards the right, tens power will decrease. And when the decimal moves towards the left, tens power will increase. In this case, we are making 2.1 as 21. That means we are moving the decimal one place towards the right. That means tens power has to decrease. So 10 power was initially 7, and decreasing by 1 would make it 10 power 6 upon 3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 4. Now this simplified form is something easy to be handled. 21 can easily be divided by 3. 21 can easily be divided by 3, and for 10 power 6 divided by 10 power 4, since these are the same bases, the power would simply be subtracted as per the rules of indices. So 21 divided by 3, that's a 7. And for 10, see, since these are the two same bases in division, the power should be subtracted. It would be 6 minus 4, giving us 7 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 2. This was about division. Next we have is the case of addition. Now for addition, let me write the expressions first. M is 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 7 plus 3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 4. Now the basic idea for addition and subtraction is same, and that is we try for the two different standard forms, we try to pick the tens lower power common. Now if you may look at both these numbers, one of the standard form having 10 power 7 and the other one is having 10 power 4. So the lower out of 2 is 10 power 4. So what we'll do, we'll take 10 power 4 common. So 10 power 4 taken common. Now since 10 power 4 is taken common, for the first number 2.1 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 7, it was having 7 powers for 10. And taken 4 powers of 10 outside, it would be left with only 3 powers. So 2.1 is there as it is, multiplied by. And since power 4 is taken common, so it would be left with power 3. Plus, and for 3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 4, the whole 10 raised to the power 4 has been taken common outside. So it would be only left with 3. So 10 power 4 remains as it is outside. 2.1 multiplied by 10 cube. 10 cube, it's 1,000. So 2.1 well multiplied by 1,000 would give us a 2100 plus 3. 2100 plus 3, that would give us 2103 into 10 raised to the power 4. So we have got this addition done, but the number obtained is still not the standard form. And to convert this number into a standard form, we have to move the decimals. Since there is no decimal, that means the decimal is there at the end, and we have to move 1, 2, 3 decimal places towards the left. And because of the movement towards the left, tens power has to increase. Since 3 decimal places are moved towards the left, so tens power would increase by power 3. So initially it was power 4, 4 plus 3, that would make us 7. So 10 power 7. This was about adding the standard forms. Part D is about the subtraction. And m minus n, this is to be subtracted. Addition and subtraction, they both follow the same rule. We take the tens lower power common. So 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 7 minus 3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 4. Since 10 power 4 is the tens base having the lower power, so we'll take 10 power 4 common. Inside the bracket, it would be 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 3 because we have taken 10 power 4 common outside. Minus in between, and it's a 3 because 10 power 4 is taken common outside. So 2.1 into 10 to the power 3, that would be 2100 for us, minus 3. And as a result, we get this as 10 power 4, 200, sorry, not 200, 2100 minus 3 would be 2097. Converting this into the standard form, we'll have 2097 into 10 raised to the power 4, which would become, since there is no decimal, that means decimal is there at the end, 1, 2, 3. So it would be 2.097 into 10 raised to the power 7. Part E, it's the square. So don't get confused with the square. M square can also be written as m multiplied by n. m multiplied by m. So m multiplied by m means it's simply the case of multiplication. So multiplication means m, it was 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 7 multiplied by 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 7. So 2.1 will go with 2.1 in multiplication, and 10 power 7 will go with 10 power 7 in multiplication. So 2.1 multiplied by 2.1, it would be 1, 2, 2, 4. We are getting this as 1, 4, 4. Since these are the two decimal places, so it would be 4.41. So it's 4.41 into. And for 10, since these are the same bases in multiplication, the powers are to be added. 7 plus 7. Finally, the answer is 4.41 into 10 raised to the power 14. So this was all about the 4 mathematical operations involving the standard forms. Now we'll have a look at few challenging questions, type of question what you can expect in exams. So for more practice, we'll solve a few more questions about the standard forms. All right, so part A here, it says in 2013, population of China was approximately blah, blah, blah. Write this number in the standard form. So we have to convert this in standard form. So 1, 3, 6, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. When there is no decimal, that means the decimal is there at the end. So we'll start from the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have made a move of 9 decimal places towards left. And moving decimal towards left, 10's power will increase. So the final answer in this case would be 1.36 into 10 raised to the power 9. Moving onwards, part B, we have the two standard forms given, P and Q. In the first part, we have to find PQ. PQ is a case of multiplication. So PQ means P, it's 8 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 5 into Q, which is 7 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 3. And as discussed earlier, number will go in multiplication with the number, 10's power will go together. So we would have this as 8 into 7, that's 56 multiplied by. For 10, it would be 5 plus 3, that's the 8. And 56, it's not a number between 1 and 10. So a decimal has to be moved. From 56, it has to become 5.6. Finally, the answer would be 5.6 and 10 raised to the power, it would be 9 now. Part 2, it's a case of 2p minus q. So 2p minus q, it's the case of subtraction. So this 2 has to be multiplied with p first, followed by the subtraction. So 2 into p, which is 8 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 5, minus q, which is 7 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 3. Now following the bottomless rule, first we have to multiply. So this 2 has to be multiplied with 8. Remember, this 2 should not be multiplied with 10's power. 2 will only multiply with the number part, which is 8. So 2 into 8 would give us a 16 into 10 raised to the power 5 minus 7 into 10 raised to the power 3. And since it's a case of subtraction, for subtraction, we always take the 10's lower power common, which is 10 power 3 here. So taking 10 power 3 common here, for the first number, 16 comes as it is, multiply by. And for 10's power, it was having 10 power 5. So out of 10 power 5, if we have taken 10 power 3 common outside, it would be left with only 10 power 2. 10 power 2 minus. And for 7 multiplied by 10 power 3, since 10 power 3 has already been taken common outside, so it will be left with only 7. So finally, this is 10 power 3 into 16. 10 squared is 100. So 16 into 100 would be a 1600 minus 7. 1600 minus 7, that would be 1593. Writing this as a standard form, we'd have 1593 into 10 raised to the power 3. And this is not the standard form. Decimal has to be moved 1, 2, 3 places towards the left. So finally, we'll get this as 1.593 into 10 raised to the power. Since 3 decimals are moved towards the left, so it would increase by 3, so 10 power 6. Let's do another question. Now here, in case of this question, if you may read the question, we have this table of amount of rice given to us for China, Brazil, India, and Vietnam. And all these rice grown are given in standard forms. Part 1 says we have to write these amounts in order. Order means smallest first and then it will give on. That means we have to follow the ascending order. So arrangement of order is the thing to be done here. Arrangement. And whenever we have the case of arrangement of order, the very first thing to be done is to make sure that all the numbers are there in the same tens power. So looking at this data, we have India and Vietnam as 10 power 7, whereas Brazil and China, they are having 10 power 8 and 10 power 6. So first we need to adjust China and Brazil with 10 power 7, and then we can decide which number should be written first. So if you may work it out for China here, it was 1.2 into 10 power 8, and we have to make it 10 power 7. That means to reduce the power, the decimal has to move towards the right. Because 10 power 8 has to be reduced to 10 power 7, so decimal has to be moved towards the right. And moving the decimal towards the right would make it 12 into 10 power 7. So we have the China's population as 12 into 10 power 7. Same thing will work for Brazil because Brazil is having 10 power 6. So 7.6 into 10 power 6, this needs to be converted to 10 power 7. And here it's 10 power 6. And to make it 10 power 7, that decimal has to move towards the right, towards the left. So 7.6 decimal move towards the left would make it 0.76. 0.76 into 10 raised to the power 7. So this we have is 0.76 into 10 raised to the power 7. Okay. Now we have all the standard form with the same tens power. Now it would be easier for us to locate which is the smaller number. And now looking at the data, we can clearly see that Brazil is having the lowest count, which is 0.76. So Brazil comes first. So we have Brazil's amount as 7.6 into 10 raised to the power 6. After Brazil, the smallest amount we have is of Vietnam, which is 2.1. So Vietnam comes here now, 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 7. After 2.1, the next big number is of India. So it's India, 8.0 into 10 raised to the power 7. Last, it's China, which is 12 in number. So 12 into 10 raised to the power 7. And it would be 1.2 into 10 to the power 8. Make sure you are maintaining the same numbers what is given in the question, rather the numbers what you have rearranged. Okay. So this is how we convert the numbers in the ascending order. Part 2, it says calculate difference of amount of rice grown in Brazil and Vietnam. Difference. They are saying difference. So difference means in the case of subtraction. For subtraction, it says Brazil and Vietnam. So Brazil and Vietnam means it has to be the bigger value minus the smaller value. So we have Vietnam as the bigger value and Brazil is the smaller value. So we do Vietnam minus Brazil. So Vietnam minus the Brazil. So Vietnam is 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 7 minus. And Brazil, we have already found the 10th power 7. So we can use that directly, 0.76 into 10 raised to the power 7. Now taking 10 power 7 common outside, first number would be left with 2.1 minus 0.76. And here you can subtract them, 2.1 and minus 0.76. So that would give us so we'll write this as 0. So we would have this subtraction done. Just a minute. Yeah, so we make it 100 because one has borrowed from the left side. So 100 minus 0.76, that's a 0.34. And 1 minus 0, that's a 1. So 1.34. So we get the answer as 1.34 into 10 raised to the power 7. All right, let's move on. Let's solve this question number 3 now. This question says, one molecule of water, it's about one molecule of water, is made up of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. The mass of one atom of hydrogen is 1.67 into 10 raised to the power minus 24 grams, and mass of one atom of oxygen is 2.66 multiplied by 10 raised to the power minus 23 grams. And we have to find the calculate. We have to calculate the mass of one molecule of water. The mass of one molecule of water contains 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. If you have to calculate the mass of water, molecule of water, this includes 2 hydrogens, 2 hydrogen atoms plus 1 oxygen atom. This is what the question says. Now we have been given with the masses of hydrogen and oxygen both. So we'll simply substitute the values of hydrogen and oxygen here to calculate the total mass of water. So 2 hydrogen means 2 times hydrogen mass is 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 24 plus 1 oxygen is 2.66 into 10 to the power minus 23. So it's a simple case of addition here. And before we add, we have to multiply this 2 and 1.67 together. So let's now solve this. 2 into 1.67, 1.67 into 2. 2 sevens are 14, 4 1 carat, 2 6 are 12, 2 1 carat, 2 ones are 2 plus 1, 3. Sorry, wait, I have made a mistake here. Yeah, so 2 sevens are 14, 4 1 carat, 2 6 are 12, 12 plus 1, that's a 13, 3 1 carat, 2 ones are 2, 2 plus 1, that's a 3. And we're getting this as 3.34. We get this as 3.34 into 10 raised to the power minus 24. 10's power, keep in mind, remains as it is. 2 will only be multiplied with 1.67. plus 2.66 into 10 to the power minus 23. Now, since it's a case of addition, we have to take the tens lower power common. So on one number, we have the tens power minus 24 common, and on the other, we have minus 23 as common. Now you have to decide out of these two tens power which one is lower. Students usually make a mistake here and they say that 10 power minus 23 is a lower power, which is not. Remember, in case of negatives, greater the number is, lower the value it is. I mean, if I write minus 5 and the next number I'm writing minus 1. So the smaller of the two, it's minus 5, not minus 1. Same goes for 10 power minus 24 and minus 23. The smaller of the two is 10 power minus 24. And the difference between minus 24 and minus 23, it's a 1 unit. So that means this 2.66, it's having one more tens power. I repeat, tens power minus 24 and tens power minus 23, they have a gap of one number. So one number means it would be 10 power 1, which is more with 2.66. So taking the tens power common, we take 10 power minus 24 common. So taking minus 24 common, the first number would be left with 3.34 plus, and since the second number is having 10 power minus 23, it's having one more 10 with it. So it would become 2.66 into 10 to the power 1. So finally, we'll get this as 10 power minus 24 into 3.34 plus 2.66 multiplied by 10 power 1, that would become 26.6. And now we simply need to add them. So 26.6 plus 3.34. So since it's a 0 here, so 4 plus 0 is a 4, 6 plus 3 is a 9, 6 plus 3 again a 9, and then a 2. That's 29.94. So you get this as 29.94 into 10 to the power minus 24. Now here 29.94 is not the standard form, so we'll make it the standard form by moving the decimal towards the left. So this would give us 2.994 into 10 to the power. Since one decimal is moved towards the left, so 10 power 1 would be added. So minus 24 plus 1 would give us a minus 23. So this ends the question here. Let's move on. Question number 4, here it says, a swarm of locusts contains 40 billion locusts. A billion is 1,000 million. Write down in standard form the number of locusts in the form. In the locust in the swarm. Part A. So these are 40 billion. 40 billion. Okay. And a billion is 1,000 million. So a billion is 1,000 million, means it can be rewritten as 40, and in place of billion we can write 1,000 million. Okay. So 40 into 1,000, that would be a 40,000 million liters. And now we have to work it out for the millions also, and for million we know that that's a 60. So we add another 60 to it. Adding another 60 to it means 40,000 million would be 40,000, and then 6 zeros more, so 1 2 3, 1 2 3, because million has 6 zeros. So all together this is a huge number, and this has to be converted into the standard form. So it's in the standard form would be we have to move the decimal towards the left. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 movements towards the left would give the number as 4 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 10. So altogether we have 4 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 10 locusts in the swarm. Okay, part B. Each locust eat 2 grams of food every day. Find the amount of food find the amount of food eaten by the swan in 1 week. Give your answer in kilograms. So 2 grams of food every day, each locust. So for part B, let's work it out. For part B, let's work it out for the whole week first. Each locust. So each locust eats 2 multiplied by 7. That's a 14 grams in a week. Okay. Since each locust eats 2 grams in a day, so for a week it would be 2 multiplied by 7. That's 14 grams in a week. That's about 1 locust. In part A, we have found the total number of locusts in the swan, which is 4 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 10. And this is what we have to calculate here. So the total amount of food eaten, total amount of food to be eaten, it would be the total locust, which is 4 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 4 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 10. Total amount of food to be found, it would be the total locust, which is 4 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 10, multiplied by the food eaten by each locust in a week, which is 14 grams. So it's simply 14 needs to be multiplied by 4. 4 and 14. 4 fours are 16, 6, 1 caret. 4 ones are 4, plus 1, 5, 56. So that's 56 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 10. And keep the unit in mind, it's grams. It's grams. And writing this in a standard form, it would become 5.6 into 10 raised to the power 11. Why? Because a decimal is moved towards the left. Again, it's a grams. But the question is asking for the answer in kilograms. Kilograms. And we know that there are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. So 1,000 grams means these 1,000 grams is basically 10 power 3 grams. So 1 kg is same as 10 power 3 grams. Okay. So since grams needs to be converted into kilogram, and whenever we have the grams to be converted into kilogram, we divide by 1,000. So here it would become 5.6 into 10 raised to the power 11 divided by 1,000 grams, which is 10 power 3. Since the case of subtraction is the case of division, and for division, 10's power are to be subtracted. So it would become 5.6 into 10 raised to the power 11 minus 3. Finally, the answer is 5.6 into 10 raised to the power 8. And the unit is kilograms now. So this is how we convert grams into kilograms. Let's move on for the next question. Okay. So here the question says, Distance from Earth to the Sun is E kilometers, where E is this. The distance from Sun to the Mercury is M kilometers, where M is this. Part A, express E ratio M as a ratio of two integers, in the simplest form. Okay, two integers in the simplest form. So let's do this part A first. All right, so E ratio M can also be written as E upon M. And E upon M means it's 1.5 into 10 h to the power 8 upon 6 multiplied by 10 to the power 7. Keep in mind, this is not the case of division. We have to get the numbers as a ratio of two integers. Ratio of two integers means we have to get rid of this tens power. And we have to get the final answer as a ratio of two integers. And to do that, this 1.5, we can okay, so we have to convert this into the integers. And for integers means we have this 1.5, it's a decimal value here. And this decimal value is to be converted into an integer first. So 1.5, when converted into an integer, it would become 15. And to make it 15, it would give us 15 into 10 raised to the power. Since 1.5 has to become 15, this decimal has to move towards the right. One decimal shift towards the right means 10 power would be decreased by 1. So it will become 15 multiplied by 10 to the power 7 upon 6 multiplied by 10 to the power 7. Now 10 power 7 in numerator and 10 power 7 denominator would get cancelled, leaving behind 15 upon 6 only. And this can be reduced, this can be simplified as 3 2s are 6, 3 5s are 15. So the answer is 5/2. And this is what the question says. We have to write this as a ratio of two integers. So 5/2 means it's 5/2. Part B. It says the diagram shows when Earth, Sun, Mercury are in a straight line. With the sun between the Earth and Mercury, find the distance from Earth to the Mercury. Earth to the Mercury. Earth to the Mercury means this distance of Earth to the Sun has to be added to the distance from Sun to the Mercury. So the total distance we have to find from Earth to Mercury. Part B, distance from Earth to Mercury. The Earth to Mercury, it would be the Earth's distance to the Sun and Sun's distance to the Mercury. So it would be Earth's distance to the Sun, which is 1.5 into 10 to the power 8, plus the Sun's distance to the Mercury, which is 6 multiplied by 10 to the power 7. There's a simple case of addition here. And whenever we have to add, we always take the 10's lower power common. So 10's lower power common here is 10 power 7. So 10 power 7 when taken common, it would give us 1.5 into 10 power 1 because we have taken 10 power 7 common outside, plus 6 only. Why? Because 10 power 7 has already been taken common outside. The 10 power 7 comes there. And then this 1.5 into 10, that gives us 15 plus 6. 15 plus 6, that's a 21. So it would be 21 into 10 to the power 7. And it's still not the standard form. 21 needs to be written as 2.1. So it would be 2.1 into 10 power 8 now. So this ends the question here and complete the whole topic about standard form. Hope you have liked the video. Thanks for watching.